There it is. Come on. Yeah. Some fake enthusiasm.
Come on, you're just real enthusiasm.
Live
real enthusiasm.
from the lead independent director, Resort Hotel. Oh, where? I don't even know where that is. Resort Hotel. It's a Business Pants Friday show here at June 13th Studios. Ooh, Friday the 13th, featuring analyst Hole Matt Moscardi. On today's weekly wrap-up, Starbucks hires somebody.
What?
Drugs 1, McNuggets 0,
Ooh.
and Two-Face Texas.
Oh, mine sounds lamer than yours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com,
Yes, it is.
the only platform
It is.
measuring board power, connections,
Listen to
performance
that
for free.
Isn't that crowd?
I don't care about the crowd today. It's my first story is depressing, so I don't. The crowd should shut up.
All right. Do we want to let's just do this.
Unless you
Let's
have
just jump right
something
into
to
it.
announce. Unless you have something to say.
No, the thing I have to announce is I have nothing to announce, except why don't you have a FreeFloatAnalytics.com free account yet? Like, if you're listening to this, you didn't just go there and sign up. Like, there's so much data. I don't understand what you need. I don't understand who needs more.
Or how about this? Share the show with somebody you're sitting by at your office.
Yeah, whoever you're sitting next to. Well, you know what? You can even just go give it a 5-star, whatever you're listening to.
I don't even
this
need
on.
that. Okay,
I mean,
I'll take that too.
You know, I'll take anything.
Take anything.
Anything.
All right, stop
people,
begging.
anything.
Come on. Let's
All
move.
right,
Come on.
go. All right. Story of the week. Story us up.
I don't even know how to. I mean, I don't know how to even. I don't know what to say about this. I don't have a takeaway other than it's a story we've long covered. We've long covered the issues at Boeing.
Oh.
So I do have to report that there's been, unfortunately, another crash, this time in India. The first fatal incident involving the 787 Dreamliner this time. I remind you that there were stories in the past where whistleblowers were warning about this plane specifically, about Boeing's corner cutting with safety checks, but I don't want to make any grand takeaways. This could have been operating error, right? They don't know why this plane crashed, but this was out of Air India. A couple of other headlines that go along with the story, which just shows the ludicrousness,
ludicrosity. Yeah,
that's not a word, is it? Ludicrosity.
No, of course,
of the business headlines. This headline: Business Boeing stock slides after Air India 787 Dreamliner crashes. Do we need that headline? Is that necessary? But why do we need that?
It does seem a little gratuitous. Like, obviously that's going to happen. And is that really what the focus should be on?
No, not maybe. Maybe like 2 weeks from now, you could report back and look at your data and report back to us.
Did you see the video of the crash?
I mean, I kind of glanced at it. I don't generally like to look at that stuff. I did kind of, the corner of my eye, I saw a fireball and I felt really sick to my stomach.
There was a video. There's one survivor.
That's the part that is being shared the most over the news, that there's one guy, a British guy, somehow survived.
I like watched a lot of this. I was watching like a live stream of it.
You would.
Yeah, because I depressed myself.
Yeah.
I was watching a live stream of it when they cut to, we think this is a survivor because the guy
They
basically
actually cut to that live? He just stepped.
Yeah.
He just started
he
walking.
was walking
Oh my
away
God.
from the crash.
Yeah.
Right? Like disoriented, confused. People were like surrounding him and he was like trying, like he went right to like a
Starbucks,
a hospital,
Yeah.
and basically was like, I think I was just like it was like so surreal.
It's horrible.
Everyone else is dead. I don't understand it at all.
Not to be morbid and dark or have a horrible sense of humor, which I guess I have all those already. Do you think that the seat he was sitting in will be the number one seat requested on all flights for the history of the world?
Excellent question for the
whatever
rest
it was.
of time.
I don't even know where we were sitting.
It was 11A. I think.
Okay, do you think that's the
something like
number
that.
one requested seat? I mean,
honestly,
Jesus.
I don't know, but so far they haven't said it's Boeing's fault. Nobody, like, there's going to be a while before we can say like this is
it could have
another
been pilot error, could have been all kinds of things, I suppose.
Well, let's just hold off and putting this feather in Dave Calhoun's cap for a little while. Let's just wait until all the information's in.
What it reminds me is, especially as my daughter has been traveling, and I always look to see whether it's what kind of aircraft it is. What it reminds me is that the stupid airline, the industry that makes airplanes, it's a stupid duopoly. It's two stupid companies.
Yeah.
Like, that's
There's
it.
no other options.
It's Airbus or Boeing, which sucks, kind of, I feel like.
Yeah.
All right, that's the first story of the week. I don't really know what to say about that. Second story of the week. These are a weird week. Starbucks. Yeah, I don't know. Why not, right? Starbucks?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and we can go from massive plane crash to coffee company.
Well, this is the other one that made me laugh because of the Boeing crash did not make me laugh, but the headline did. But so the story is Starbucks accelerates new staffing model to all company-owned North America stores, adding as many as 85,000 workers across more than 10,000 stores. Essentially, what they're doing is they're getting employees back to pre-COVID numbers. I think that's the genius, really.
Really, that's
it's really not much, right? But I did like that. I saw a headline that said that like Wall Street is worried, like Wall Street worries as Brian Niccol announces. It's like, come on, really? You're gonna worry? Just let people be hired, for Christ's sake. Give people a break. Give people a break.
It's not like a $200,000 a year job, right?
No, it's really not.
These are not.
Although the union is still, there's still an unknown ending to that story, right? There is no resolution.
I think he's negotiating as part of this hiring spree with the unions now.
But this will help him lower probably the wages, right? If they're telling the union we're going to add more, does it give him an opportunity to give them lower wages and worse benefits? Does this give him a leg up? I don't know.
No, I don't think that. But I do think the craziest part about the story is the reason why, right? Like, so Brian Niccol announced that they're going on this hiring spree and they're basically focusing on getting baristas.
And
they did that because they were trying to mechanize everything. Yeah. They were trying to make it all automatic.
They're even going to use AI to help.
They were going to use AI to help, and now they sort of realized when people go to a coffee shop, they don't want to talk to Wally to get their coffee.
And they need just someone to actually give them a coffee.
They just want someone there who hands them a coffee.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there because they fired everyone. Yeah. And they're trying to get a machine where you press two buttons and everything pops out automatically. And the wait times are incredibly long. And I don't know if you've been to a Starbucks in the last few years.
I have. Not too often.
They're not. I do remember when we started this company, I would go to a Starbucks and work every single morning.
They used to be pleasant places.
And now they're like the Walmart of coffee shops. They're horrible.
Smell like bleach. The floors are like this hard tile.
I don't know what happened
understaffed.
In the interim.
Yeah,
but it's like everyone's miserable. So his grand innovation was to make the store comfortable and have people in it. Yeah, that was the grand innovation.
Here's the sidebar to this. There's headlines going around that Howard Schultz, who is the founder, still the biggest shareholder, the boomerang CEO 25 times. He's the real leader of this company. The headline is it says that he did a cartwheel when Starbucks CEO Niccol coined back to Starbucks strategy. The guy to blame here is Howard Schultz, right?
Yeah, isn't he the guy who got rid of half of them?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, he's the one who kind of messed everything up and then is trying to fix it. And he fires CEOs and he doesn't know what he's doing. And this is the guy to really look at.
It's something special.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, look, congrats to at least some executive came in and said, maybe humans are an answer for something.
This just made me feel good. I mean, it felt... Think about all those.
It's not the worst. I don't want to hate it, but I don't.
All the out of work humanities majors, all the English majors, all the right.
They do have a massive talent pool
Italian
of sort
majors.
of ex-government employees too that they can draw from.
That's true. Yeah. All right, that's the second story of the week going on at Starbucks. The third, Netflix. We got to talk about Netflix. Now,
again?
Technically, this happened right after we signed off last week. So, but I did want a chance to wedge it in there. This actually happened, I think, last Friday, but it was after our show. So the big story here, again, this is like the nerdy story of the week. Although I think I have two nerdy stories of the week. Jay Hoag, lead independent director at Netflix, 78% of the vote against his reelection.
Yep.
There's a lot of things to unwrap here, but let me start with this one. According to the company's director resignation policy, Jay has to immediately offer his resignation to the board, and then the nominating committee considers his resignation and then makes a decision. So the good part of this, Matt, there's two good parts of it. The good part of it is that Jay Hoag himself chairs the nominating committee, right?
I know.
But the second weird part of this is that he actually did not attend any of the nominating committee's meetings last year. So it makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen? Is he going to show up to the meeting where he decides his own fate, or...
No, he can't. He must have to recuse himself.
Stop. He's not going to recuse himself. You're so cute.
And leave it in the hands of
Reed
effectively,
Hastings. Stop.
Like Susan Rice, who just joined the board this year, like she's going to decide whether Jay Hoag has a job at Netflix.
Well, okay. Here's the story behind the story. This is the second time. 2017 he was voted out. 55% against him. In 2014, this used to be a classified board, so he was only up for election every 3 years. In 2014, 49% said no. In 2011, 49. No, I have these dates wrong. 2020, 55%. 2017, 49%. 2014, 49.7%. The shareholders have hated him forever.
Yeah.
The other part of the story is that there have been 22. I tried to count them all since 2012. I don't know if I got them all. There have been 22 shareholder proposals that have won. They have actually gotten a majority. I don't know how. It's a miracle. They've somehow gotten a majority vote, including a simple majority vote got 9 wins. To repeal the classified board got 6 wins. A majority voting policy got 4 wins. And the biggest takeaway here is that Jay Hoag, who was the lead independent director and the nomination committee chair, got blamed for ignoring shareholders forever. So that's the background to this story, is that they've hated him forever, essentially, because he doesn't care what shareholders think.
Yeah, well, when you look, it's hard enough to pass a shareholder proposal at all. And then when...
That never happens.
The lead independent director decides... Meh.
Yeah.
I'm not that interested in even engaging on this.
This is the lead independent director who's been there since 1999, only 2 years after Reed Hastings, the founder, joined. In most jurisdictions, he would not be considered independent. He's not independent. It's a loophole. It's an American loophole that he's called independent. So this is just such a strange case. It's so strange.
But it's worth saying we covered this in our show yesterday, the Proxy Countdown, our other show. And we went into great depth because we're theorizing here, that one of the precipitating factors, the reason why it was such a high no vote, was actually not just that people don't like him because he ignores them, because last year he only got 9% against, right? 91% in favor last year. No other factors were different last year, right?
The thing that changed in 2022, I believe, is that the company finally acquiesced and they decided to declassify the board and they decided to eliminate supermajority voting provisions. So that got most of the heat off of Jay Hoag. But
so he was 91% in favor last year, but this year he only made 50% of the board meetings.
Yeah,
and
missed all of his nomination committee meetings.
And ISS and Glass Lewis and a lot of pension fund policies have they have a nice line that says if you make less than 75%, we generally vote against you.
Generally, unless it's medical issues, we've noticed they don't vote against you.
Medical issues,
although,
they
do you have
tend
to
not
prove
to.
that? Do you need a doctor's note? I don't even know.
There were we did cover in the show that Michael Hall at Monster Beverage got 99% of the vote and
despite failing attendance,
75% failed attendance. So it's not such a clear line that everyone gets voted out.
Yeah,
but
he had a bloody nose though. He had a bloody nose.
That's true. He did sneeze.
He sneezed
in the
blood.
meeting.
He sneezed blood.
And they were really uncomfortable with it. In this case, It is very strange that he got such a high no vote against. I'm wondering, conspiracy theory, Matt wonders whether or not like there's something happening behind the scenes here.
So you're suggesting that they're trying to create like buzz for a new Netflix movie? Maybe they're trying to create a story.
I just think, isn't this a script that writes itself? Like
that's what's happening. Yeah.
The beleaguered venture capitalist on the board. The shareholders hate him, but he's a lovable guy. He's super smart. They finally vote against him. He hands in his resignation and he says, "I think it's time." And then that's your cliffhanger until the next episode when he himself has to consider his own resignation and then says, "It's not time. Let's do this." And then
that's a boring movie,
it's not a movie. That's a Netflix show.
Here's the other part that's fun that I just noticed this morning while digging around. On June 5th, a day before the meeting, he sold $40 million of shares. He got $40 million. This is the lead independent director. $40 million of shares.
Look, director compensation.
A day before he got voted out. A day before.
Director compensation is one of the least discussed and most egregious things because the company like gives you 1 year vesting because it's generally an annual election, so they can give you just a 1 year vest. They tend to give it to you at like the price they give it to you is cheap for that 1 year. If you just get market returns, they give you a stipend, several $100,000 as a stipend to show up to the meetings, which Jay couldn't even do.
Yeah.
If you just do market returns, you're getting often multiples on your stipend. If you hold the stock throughout your tenure, you don't execute necessarily, you're getting a lot of money. We're talking about Robin Denholm is a 750 billionaire as a result of just letting Elon Musk do whatever he wants.
Yeah, just sitting around and watching the stock price go up.
No one talks about how much these directors get for effectively doing whatever management says. Remembering that this is a board with Reed Hastings, Ted Sarandos, Leslie Kilgore, and Greg Peters, all of whom are or were company employees. Like a third of the board basically is Netflix. So all you got to do, Jay, is show up. You couldn't do that, and you still got paid $40 million.
I just wish they would televise on Netflix a live feed of that nomination committee where he decides his own fate. I just want to watch that. I want to see what he says and does.
Netflix should be live streaming all of their board meetings. That'd be great.
That's the third story of the week. Oh, speaking of that, I have a story about that later on. My fourth story, this is the ultra nerdy story of the week. I like to highlight these stories just because I do, and also because I didn't know what else to pick this week. The headline is Why Companies with More Female Board Members Have Better Workplace Safety. So that's the conclusion from a paper written by a couple of professors from Notre Dame and someone from Villanova. The paper is called From the Boardroom to the Job Site, Female Board Representation and Workplace Safety. Looked at the data from 266 companies and determined that the number of workplace accidents and injuries were lower at businesses that had higher number of women on their boards. Now, the only caveat here is they looked at data from 2002 to 2011. I don't know. Why so old? Why are they looking at data that's so old? I don't really know. But.
Well, typically, first of all, the workplace data probably sucked then too. Like that's when we were at the mothership,
right? And
not a lot of people.
This is government and corporate worker safety data, so it's probably already difficult to weed
but
through.
Second of all, the academics always lag because if you're like a massive data provider like MSCI or Sustainalytics, you're not giving them like your cutting edge new data. But you're basically like,
I thought that
why don't you go back to our old database and find something?
But I thought that these places typically sell to like libraries, academic
yeah,
libraries.
But you don't make enough money. The libraries all get it for like $12 and a bag of popcorn.
They get the dusty data, the dusty redacted
data. Yeah, so they give them the dusty data.
Covered with Cheetos dust.
the old dusty data.
Just academics.
All right, so I've got four options here. Boeing, Starbucks, Netflix, and female board members have better workplace safety. I can't in good conscience call a story of the week data from 2011, right? Like,
but
I really can't.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more like they had a finding.
The paper's new.
14 years after the data. So that leaves me with Netflix, Starbucks and Boeing. I'm not going to do Netflix. I like Netflix as a story, but we already covered it so much this week that I don't want to cover it.
Plus, especially since we know he's not going anywhere.
Which means I have to choose between hiring baristas and a massive plane crash with 300 people dead.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I have to go with...
We had a survivor, though.
We did, but I do have to go with Boeing, in part because even if this isn't found to be Boeing, even if it's not Boeing's fault, Boeing kicked this company off in a lot of ways by being so horrible and so compromised at the board level. Like the lawsuit against Elon Musk's pay package, his pay package was, billions of dollars, $40 billion, right? If Dave Calhoun was granted a $1 billion pay package, you could have sued that board every single year from 2011 until the day he retired as being fully compromised and in the pocket of Dave Calhoun, right? Like you could have easily made the same exact case that you had at Tesla at Boeing. And because of that, we've been tracking that company for so long. This is just another, it's not even like it doesn't even have to be their fault now. All they have to be is adjacent. They could have been one worker from Boeing looking out the window at Air India, and they probably would have found a way to blame it on Boeing somehow. Yeah, that's how bad the company is.
Yeah, because this kills their run of good news because they really kissed up to Donald Trump this year, so they've gotten some benefit from that. Like they sold a bunch of planes to Qatar, and something else happened that.
Well, they didn't have
the
to.
Department of Justice dropped their criminal charge.
The criminal charge.
Yeah, so they've
7
had a good
minutes
string.
After they drop a criminal charge, a plane falls out of the sky.
That's horrible.
And they're effectively killing all regulation of these things, right? Like the FAA has been cut.
The regulators, the people who run those jobs are being fired, aren't they? I mean, are there people around to inspect anything anymore?
They're firing everybody. They fired people who actually are in control towers, like telling the planes where to land, right? Like there's
right.
let's
move on.
This is not great. But that's the story of the week for sure. All right, should we do good list?
Yeah, let's pick it up a bit.
Oh yeah, no. This show's always a real upper.
Mine's not a downer.
Mine's not either.
Yeah.
Mine's a little ironic, maybe.
Yeah, maybe mine's just stupid. Pointless.
Well, I'll do mine first.
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
yours is probably better. I saw this headline and I just smiled. So it's more like smiliest of the week. McDonald's downgraded on GLP-1 drug worries. Wall Street's top analyst calls. I just like the idea that in the midst of there was another headline you pulled earlier this week about McDonald's chicken strips, McStrips, chicken strips. What were they called? Strippies?
Yeah, McStrippers.
McStrippers.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah,
that they don't taste good. Like no, people don't actually like them. I like the idea that like America has decided that we would take a drug to be thin and not go to McDonald's. I like that. Isn't that good? That feels good. Makes me smile.
Sure. It's great.
What's yours?
I don't know what this drug. I don't even get this drug. How did did they even test this drug? Do they test drugs anymore? Do they test the long-term effects of this stuff?
No. They only test vaccines, but now no one's going to take those.
I was going to actually include that story because idiot Supreme RFK Jr. Fired the entire panel that oversees vaccines in America, part of the CDC, I believe. And I was going to kind of incorporate it as kind of like a board story, like firing a whole board. But I was like, that's too much of a stretch. But
I think he brought a couple of them back and then just replaced the rest
with a bunch of skeptics. My story of the week is kind of good and maybe bad. This is the headline: Rubrik CEO let 800 employees sit in on board meetings, and he says it supercharged the company. Okay, first of all, I love the idea of opening up board meetings, especially to employees. I've long advocated that there should at least be one employee representative on all U.S. company boards. I'm not suggesting half the board like they do in Germany. That seems kind of ridiculous. But although who am I to say? Maybe it's not ridiculous. But at least one. I think we should actually represent all stakeholder groups. But one employee would be great. Now, we have to take his word for, of course, that it supercharged the company.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I couldn't find any actual proof of that. And the other problem is that I guess they kind of stopped doing it right around when they IPO'd, which is kind of concerning. So the company became public, and then they're like, yeah, okay, you can't come to the meetings anymore.
There's a legal reason for that, though.
And then the other thing I was looking at is that this board is full of founders, full of CEOs and chairs and executives. And also there's only one woman on the board. So I'm thinking this company is, maybe this is more of a PR stunt, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. I kind of like the idea of it.
I like the way that you just put that up for good
and
undermine the whole story. Like, well, I don't even know what to feel anymore.
I was disappointed because this is it seems to be one of very few companies that is not in our database. I know we have thousands of companies.
It IPO'd just over a year ago.
So maybe it's not in MSCI's.
It's just not in MSCI's database, which means it doesn't make its way into ours.
It will be soon. So, but anyway, in theory, I think this is amazing. I at a minimum, I wish that American companies would report board activities like they do in Europe. Europe, at least, they give you kind of a itemized agenda of the board meetings, like what they're talking about, and here they give you nothing. They don't tell you anything.
I want them to live stream it. I think
great.
They should live stream all of them. I think it should be open to the public. Why not?
And just bleep out all the swears if you're worried about it.
What about the Me Too inappropriate jokes made by most of the men?
Yeah.
You got to leave that in, right?
All right, that's my goodliest.
Well, who wins goodliest?
Oh God, I don't know.
Now I feel like mine wins because you undermined yours so much.
No, I mean,
I like the idea of yours, but mine's actually good.
Mine in theory wins. Why is yours good? Because
no one's going to McDonald's.
Okay, let's give yours a win.
Yeah, correct. Mine wins. All right, let's move on to Assholiest. We're making some time. Good time.
Good.
I got three asshole options.
It's already a winner. Usually you have like 9.
It's actually only one story with 3 potential assholes.
This is perfect. This is perfect.
So here's the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the different perspectives. Yeah. Here's the story. Texas removes BlackRock from energy boycott blacklist. That's the story.
Great. Yeah.
There are 3 elements here to choose from. Number one, obviously.
Proud. By the way, I'd be proud to stay on that blacklist. I hope we're on that blacklist.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Number one, obviously, is Texas, right? They're the first sort of protagonist here.
Yeah.
But you actually, you could choose BlackRock because BlackRock didn't get removed because Texas decided BlackRock was great. BlackRock got removed for a myriad of other reasons, most of which were sucking up.
Yeah, because they bent the knee. Yeah.
And then you have the idea of a boycott blacklist at all, this discrimination against a company in capital markets.
Isn't that like, I thought Republicans didn't do stuff like that.
I mean, it's a capital allocation decision.
Nonsense.
So if I invest only in like healthcare companies, I'm discriminating against, companies that make, Scotch tape, right? Like, it's capital markets, it's allocation.
Yeah, so they're doing the most ESG thing because they hate ESG.
So here's your first option reason, Texas. So Texas, lest we forget, in 2022, Texas banned government entities from doing business with firms that boycott fossil fuels. That's what they wanted to do.
I would call this the era of 2022 is really the start of the political theater, I'd call it, because a lot of it's disingenuous. But this is kind of like the start of all the political theater against wokey kind of, right, ESG kind of stuff.
So at the time, Texas put BlackRock and then about 15 international banks they didn't do business with on their boycott list, right? Like,
but there were full page ads. There were like weren't there like anti Larry Fink billboards? It was all about Larry Fink.
There was a moment.
They loved showing his face. They loved saying his name. It was all about Larry Fink.
But so BlackRock basically was the only one they really targeted.
Right.
And then they spent a lot of time, BlackRock spent a lot of time trying to convince Texas, saying things like, it's patently absurd that we discriminate against fossil fuels as the largest fossil fuel investor on Earth.
Yeah.
We have the most shares in fossil fuel
companies. That's kind of a oily mic drop moment, is it not?
It did not win the argument, though.
It didn't, no.
But fast forward to 2025. BlackRock's now removed in part because Larry Fink shows up at a conference in Texas to talk about how much they love fossil fuels. Larry Fink spent a lot of time like kind of kissing up to the Trump administration.
Do you think he was wearing cowboy boots and a big 10-gallon hat at that meeting?
I mean, probably.
Yeah,
probably
Spurs.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
But then this is what drove me over the edge with Texas's assholery this week. There are two headlines. First, bills that could have hurt renewable energy die in the Texas legislature.
Okay,
meaning,
that's good, right?
Meaning Texas is actually supporting renewable energy in Texas.
Because they're making bank on it, right?
And Texas finalizes $1.8 billion to build solar, battery, and gas-powered microgrids.
Crazy.
Texas is the leader in the country in renewable energy generation by a long shot. And they've nearly doubled renewable generation since 2019. In just 6 years, they've nearly doubled their entire renewable capacity. It now is 30% of all energy created in Texas is renewable, solar or wind.
Which is good. I mean, it's good too, right? I mean,
Texas, you have to fucking ban yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're boycotting fossil fuels yourself. Because it makes sense, not because there's some discrimination against fossil fuels. You effectively got BlackRock, who manages 0.4% of their money, is your money. Like some insignificant amount of money in their AUM is you. You got them to bend the knee to you. And show up all the time in Texas and kiss your ass and back you're one of the original backers of the new exchange that they're setting up in Texas because now BlackRock is really just Texas rock. It's like it's always been a thing. You got them to do that. Meanwhile, at the same time, you're discriminating all the kabuki theater. You're doing it. Yeah. You're the one who's boycotting. Oil and gas.
Lest anyone think this is like a miracle of democratic gerrymandering in Texas, the state house in Texas is still controlled by the Republicans, 83 to 67. Same with the Texas State Senate. So these are Republicans making this decision.
These are Republicans who are banning oil and gas in their own state by transitioning to a cleaner, more effective, more efficient, cheaper fuel source.
Yeah.
It makes total sense, but you assholes...
The political theater of it is maddening.
You think we're not paying attention to both the things that come out of your mouth and then what you're doing? Come on.
Yeah. Well, they learned from the president. Yeah.
So that's option number one, Texas.
Texas is option... Yeah, go.
The main protagonist in the story.
Yeah.
Now, the story is Texas removes BlackRock from energy boycott blacklist. So we got to talk about BlackRock as option number two, okay? BlackRock, here's actually the quote from BlackRock in response to being banned by Texas. Quote, BlackRock does not boycott fossil fuels. Investing over $100 billion in Texas energy companies on behalf of our clients proves that. $100 billion they've invested.
Yeah, that
was in 2022.
That should have been the end of the story for BlackRock. They should have told Texas to go F themselves.
Why you didn't leave?
That should have been.
You should have just left.
You're idiots. You're doing this for political theater. You're trying to confuse your constituents. Look what all the money you're pouring into renewables. You're just
seriously.
This is just political fodder. You're throwing red meat at your voters. That's all you're doing.
No, why don't you just say, fine, we're banned in Texas. We'll no longer do business with you, which means we're not going to finance either oil and gas because we're one of the biggest financiers of it, or we're not going to finance your renewables, which is the biggest, increasingly one of the largest portions of your own state's energy.
I would think if they made that decision to withdraw the $100 billion that you talked about investing in energy companies, that Texas would blink, would it not? Like they wouldn't let that happen.
100% they would have blinked. I don't know why we keep bending the knee.
I don't know.
Why does everybody bend the knee?
I don't know.
Stop it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's what Fink wrote to clients, not the CEO letter. This is his client letter in 2020. Our role as a fiduciary is the foundation of BlackRock's culture. The commitments we are making today, those commitments being sustainability and climate change commitments, reflect our conviction that all investors, and particularly the millions of our clients who are saving for long-term goals like retirement, must seriously consider sustainability in their investments. That's what Larry Fink said.
Well, I will say this though, not
in 2020,
not to rain your parade. Jamie Dimon, there was a article out today or yesterday about Jamie Dimon. He only reads the CEO letters from certain CEOs because he thinks most of them are bullshit.
I saw that,
and it's not Larry Fink is not on the list. He only reads from Warren Buffett, who's now gone. Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, and then Jeff Bezos, who doesn't do the letters anymore. So sorry,
so really
Larry.
just reads Andy Jassy. Why
so
don't you just call Andy Jassy, ask what he thinks?
Maybe like Jamie, maybe Texas didn't read Larry Fink's letter.
I'm pretty sure that's true. But here's a headline from just this week. As EU acts to stop greenwash, funds drop climate claims from their names. An email BlackRock sent to clients on March 18th, although it just leaked today.
Oh, really?
Or this week, which it shared with Climate Home, said it responded to ESMA naming guidelines. These are the new naming guidelines. Yeah. You can't call yourself the ESG Wonder Sustainability Fund if you don't actually do that thing, right?
Yeah.
By changing the name of 56 funds worth $51 billion to drop sustainability terms. As an example, it gave was dropping ESG from the BSF Systematic ESG World Equity Fund.
Even that is dumb in the first place. Like, why is that? What does that prove?
It's so
ESG
dumb.
It's just a set of data. Like, what is it? What is the win there?
And what are you shoving it into the name BSF Systematic ESG World Equity Fund? What the hell does that do? Like, what is that fund even?
Do they really think they're investors who see the word ESG and they think like it represents like Mother Teresa or something, like it's going to save all babies and flowers?
So BlackRock on one hand is talking about how sustainable they are in 2020. They're kissing Texas's ass now to like they love oil and gas. They love it so much. They have to drop sustainability from their name. And now they're actually seeking a dismissal of Texas's antitrust case over coal production because they've proven how much they just love to suck on oil and gas.
They love it.
It's just delicious. It's just so good. And then finally for BlackRock, this just drove me nuts too. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink not leaving anytime soon.
Okay.
In an interview in a conference in Toronto, he said that he has no plans to step down as CEO. Did you forget you have a board? It's actually not your decision, right?
Come on, you're being cute. Yeah.
Oh, right. It is his decision.
What is free flow? What does freeflowanalytics.com say about his influence?
It's really hard to say. They're actually not on freeflowanalytics.com, I think, right now.
Wait, why is that?
But because BlackRock has compromised.
Oh, because they own MSCI. They own
the problem we have with them, even when it was up, which was like a couple months ago, was that they have not one but 3 founders on the board.
Okay,
and they have like 2 executives from the company on the board, and they own 6.7% of themselves in stock.
Larry is just doing a Jamie. Larry likes to parrot because Jamie. We make fun of Jamie Dimon because every headline is Jamie Dimon says so. Jamie has been going around telling everyone the same thing, like he's not leaving, and he doesn't have a boss, and so I think Larry's just parroting Jamie here because we know that it's up to Larry and Jamie when they leave and don't.
Yeah, they leave when they.
But you're right to point out that it really is the board's decision.
It's supposed to be the board's decision. So when you stand in a conference and you're like, "I'm not leaving,"
it's supposed to be, yeah.
Aren't you supposed to say, if I'm lucky, the board and our investors will think I'm doing a great job and I'll stay as long as I can? Like, that's the answer. Nice. You don't say, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm sorry. The investors own your company and the board are their representatives. They can fire you for sucking. They're supposed to be able to do that. So number 2 option is BlackRock. Number 3 option, my last option.
Yeah. So Texas, BlackRock, and number 3. What's number 3?
And the third option is the metaphysical one. The boycott, blacklist, discrimination in capital markets, discriminating against a sector or a company somehow. I can't get over that this idea even exists. Like, how can you pass legislation that says you've discriminated against fossil fuels? Here is the headline that made me
Yeah.
Like this is the headline this week about discrimination in
Does
capital
that mean
markets.
I've been discriminating against McDonald's for so many years because I don't
That's
go?
what I'm saying. This is what it's insane about it. Where is this stop?
It's like
right?
it's a hate crime, basically, because I don't go to Burger King. I don't go to Arby's.
Well, I pulled this headline. This Canadian tourists to the U.S. down nearly 40% in May. New data says. Can we sue Canada because they're discriminating against traveling to the United States?
Let's not sue Donald Trump for making them hate us. Let's sue Canada for not coming.
We should sue Canada.
Yeah.
Or X's new sales pitch. Give us your ad business or we'll sue.
Oh, I hate this.
Here's a quote from the article. Last year, Verizon Communications got an unusual message from X. Spend your ad dollars with us or we'll see you in court.
That's crazy.
It worked. Verizon, which hasn't advertised on X since 2022, pledged to spend at least $10 million this year on the platform.
Insanity.
This is just to remind you, 2023. Here's a headline. Elon Musk did this at a conference. Elon, after personally driving away advertisers, tell them to go fuck themselves repeatedly and says Earth will judge them for killing X/Twitter.
What?
Do you remember when he was on the conference and he said, you think you can blackmail me by leaving my platform? Fuck you. I don't want your money. Now he's suing them for their money, and they're coming back. They're coming back. Why are you coming back? What are you doing? There's still Nazis on there. There's more Nazis on there than there were in 2023.
What is X anymore? It's just like baseball highlights and Nazis? Like what is happening? It's just sports.
I don't understand it. It's like 7 journalists and a bunch of Nazis. That's it.
It's crazy to me. Yeah.
And if you don't go on X, so I'm not on social media. Am I discriminating against social media?
Yeah, probably.
Where's the line here? Like, so if I don't use everything ever done, you know what? BlackRock, you're not a client of ours right now. You're discriminating against governance data.
Yeah, we'll sue you if you don't.
I'm going to sue. What if we file lawsuits against everyone who's not a client of ours?
That'd be a long list. Yeah.
Like, but that's
very
insane.
Busy. Yeah,
that's insane.
Although I like
even the idea of the boycott list is insane.
Yeah. By the way, BlackRock, I love you. You should be our client.
So those are your 3 options: Texas, BlackRock, and the insanity of these boycott discrimination.
Which of this is the most relevant to this week? What
story
Texas?
Is all this week, right? Texas removed BlackRock from energy boycott blacklist, which means they're maintaining the blacklist. They still have it. BlackRock was on it, but now is off. So it's now just populated by European people that they don't actually use. And Texas, the renewable energy stuff, that's all from this week, and the removal is this week. So
here's my highly intelligent way of analyzing this situation. First of all, I don't want to talk about Elon Musk anymore today, so one loses. Second of all, Larry Fink is rich enough without me, and I wish he would become our client, because once he becomes our client, I'm gonna bend the knee and say that everything he does is lovely and perfect and smells like flowers. But the real the Texas thing makes me nuts. It's the political theater part of the angle of this, where because the end game of this really is you're constantly throwing misinformation at your constituents. You're driving your constituents nuts by saying one thing while doing the other. We live in this world. This world we live in is incredulous how insincere we are about everything. Right? It makes me nuts. I mean, and I've been screaming this for years. If you believe in a capitalist America, a capitalist whatever Western world, why can't we just agree to make money off of renewables together? Why do we have to shun it? Why? So why can't Texas just say it's good business, it's good for the environment, our young people want it, whatever? Just like support it. Why? Because it's making money off. Why this duplicitous political theater? It makes me crazy.
The worst part about the theater is, and this is the same thing that Trump just did with the tariffs, where we are now, they just announced today, they have the framework of a structure of an outline of an agreement with China about trade. What we effectively are doing is we are looking at a thing, saying what is it right now? Then we make a big stink about something. It's all theater. only to get back to exactly the way we are right now. Nothing changed in Texas.
Yeah, well,
not one thing changed.
I guess it's easier than actually governing, just to make a little bit of noise and throw your jazz hands up.
The only ones who benefit from this are politicians who make the noise, like like who are savvy enough to put out these press releases and give press conferences and show up on TikTok and say things like the woke libs are doing this.
Yeah, look what BlackRock did. Yeah,
or like look at the horrible conservatives and what they're doing. All we end up with is status quo. It's just a status quo machine. It's just a loudness machine.
I'm voting for Texas.
Texas it is. Oh, we're making good time. Let's wrap this up. We got headlines, winners, predictions.
I'm going to go first on my headline of the week because it's just patently ridiculous.
I think it's the best headline of the week.
That I don't even find this or like it speaks not only to my lack of intelligence, but to the utter thoroughness of our headlines. Right? I mean, that this can exist. So these both headlines came this week. I have two headlines. BJ's Restaurant announces Lyle D. Tick as new president and CEO. And then this headline, ZRG appoints interim talent trailblazer Liz Dick to board of directors. So Liz Dick and Lyle Tick.
You're so juvenile.
Didn't I make a joke about basically like Tile Dick? Like I made
in our Tuesday show.
And then like a day later, Liz Dick is taking over. And it's not because of that name. I just like the rhyme. Maybe it is because of that. I don't know.
It is because of the name. That'll be ridiculous.
I just like the rhyming. I like the brevity of those names. Anyway, I spent a lot of time looking at headlines, so I need something to make me happy.
Well, you pulled this one. I see the headline I like. Hulk Hogan wants to reimagine Hooters restaurant as his Real American beer brand makes a new bid to save the chain.
Sounds horrible.
But it's fabulously ridiculous.
All of it. How about listening to Hulk Hogan as a business leader? How about that?
Every piece. If you unpack that, every part of that sentence is nuts, moron, right? Yeah. But just on his face, how do you reimagine Hooters exactly? Like, what is the new imagined?
Something to do with like men's balls, like testicles?
I don't understand. I don't know.
Steroid-induced testicles.
It's really confusing to me what the reimagination is.
And Real American beer, do we need that name? That name's terrible.
Can you imagine if he walked into they buy the brand and he's like, my idea for this is women with larger breasts than before, right? Like, what are you reimagining? It's a shitty dive.
Hulk, I hate to break it to you. Take a trip to Portland, Maine. There are like 700 Real American beers everywhere. Like, we have so many microbrewers here. It's basically our number one industry when you walk around Portland at night. So I hate to break it to you, Hulk, but they're already making beer everywhere. Everyone's making
everywhere.
beer.
It's everywhere.
And you know what? It's American.
It's all American. Yeah. Turns out.
Yeah.
You have a winner of the week.
My winner is short and sweet for the trifecta. Jay Hoag. He not only does he ignore shareholders, he ignores shareholders while selling his shares.
I like that.
And while pretending to be independent.
Yeah, it's a win.
It's a trifecta.
You're right. He might be the winner.
Right.
I have a bizarre winner. A winner that doesn't know they're the winner.
Yeah.
There's a Polish investor named Slava.
Polish investor. Is Poland still a country? Okay.
It still is, I think. Slava Smolakowski.
Sure, of course. Slava
actually went out and bought Polaroid. Polaroid, the old cameras.
Sure.
Like the brand Polaroid. That he owns it.
Okay.
Given that Texas is pushing BlackRock to its knees for discriminating against oil, and Robbie Starbuck is winning the war on discrimination against white men, and Elon's winning the money for discriminating against Nazi platforms, apparently. Given that all of these things are winning, doesn't Polaroid have a chance to sue Apple for discriminating against cameras with its phones?
Ooh, I like this, yeah.
They could sue the state of Texas for divesting from Polaroid in 2001 when they declared bankruptcy. Like, how dare you divest from me just because we're bankrupt? They could sue the U.S. public for not buying cameras that print on flimsy, pieces of plastic anymore. You got to get creative, companies. Start suing everyone who made any decision that resulted in you having less money.
Speaking of Robbie Starbuck, I should make another. I have a prediction this week, but here's a sub prediction because you mentioned Robbie Starbuck. He's the quote unquote citizen journalist who basically hates everything that's not like a
we're citizen
cisgendered
too,
male white heterosexual. Everyone tweaks him. In the Netflix proxy statement, there is a picture of some of the most famous shows from the year. One of them being Baby Reindeers, which was one of my favorite shows of the year, featuring a picture of a trans actress. Robbie, there's a trans person right in. So I mean, this is bigger news than Bud Light, right? It's right in the proxies. A big picture of a trans actress. I mean, what are you going to do, Robbie?
Somebody's got to tell Robbie what a Netflix, proxy
right?
is first,
and then we got to get rid of Netflix, right? We just have to. We have to, Robbie. Come on. All right.
That wasn't even your prediction.
That wasn't even my prediction. It just made me think of that. That I feel like I don't know how nobody's noticed that. That just seems so egregious. How dare they? How dare they? My prediction is this. It's a bit long. Okay, bear with me. I'm staying with the J. Hoag story. Okay, so J. Hoag does not attend the nomination committee meeting, which is meant to accept or reject his resignation. Because as we know, he doesn't go to meetings much anymore.
Yeah, he's busy.
So he doesn't go. But since the other 3 committee members are way too scared to act without him, they kind of just sit around and they talk about Netflix's upcoming season of Stranger Things. Or maybe they talk about Baby Reindeer. I don't know. They do
Probably
that
not.
They do that for like 45 minutes until Brad Smith, one of the nominating committee members, a director on the, he's an executive at Microsoft.
Yeah.
He gets a text from J. Hoag, which simply reads this, reject. So that's it. They're going to reject his resignation.
He's going to stay on the board. He figured it out. That's a good prediction.
All right.
My prediction is
actually
darker.
That will come true, by the way.
That's absolutely happening. My prediction is darker.
Oh, no.
It's just Dave Calhoun boomerangs back to Boeing to save the day after this crash. How soon before someone's calling Dave Calhoun and saying, Dave, what should we do about this?
Well, maybe they already are, actually. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's going to come back. He's going to be a special advisor to the board first.
They're going to blame Kelly Ortberg for this one, though?
Oh, yeah. As fast as possible. It's got to be Kelly's fault, right?
Spinning a little bit on that.
That's it. That's Hazelnut Rallis. I'm your analyst, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. That was our wrap of the week. We'll be back next week. We got a show on Tuesday, like every Tuesday. We got a proxy countdown coming next week, like every week. We got this.
Honestly, when do you go on vacation?
So much information.
When do you leave?
The week after.
Okay, so we have one more week, and then we'll give people a break.
One more week, and then we got a summer break for everyone involved. Until then, good